What's going on, guys? 5869 here with another replay analysis. We're going to be going over MGA, who is going to be about a 3k off-lane bristleback here. Says, he thinks he played like shit, got outlaned, yada yada yada, and he's not really sure why. And hopefully we'll be able to give him a little bit of a hand here, see maybe what went wrong, what went right here. Look at his itemization. The thing he's doing really good right now is that he bought his items fairly quickly, and he's running out to go place this observer ward, which I definitely do like. Itemization I'm actually alright with right now. Stealth Shield is actually pretty good against a Huskar because his base damage is very low. A lot of his damage actually comes from the Burning Spear, like dot damage, whereas just the actual right clicks themselves won't do that much, especially when they're reduced from the Stout Shield. So pretty nice pickup there. I definitely think after this he's probably going to want to move into a Ring of Basilius and then Brown Boots after that. Probably not going to get all that much out of a wand in this lane, like straight up if you're rushing a wand, probably not going to get all that much from it. And he should do really well here if he gets just a Ring of Protection, stays in range of EXP, and just kind of soaks up some levels here. Shouldn't really have to harass anybody all that much here. Should be able to get enough. It looks like he's trying to contest the rune, but definitely shouldn't be doing this. You don't want to take any unnecessary damage in the offlane, and right there, you've already taken a ton. You haven't leveled anything. You should probably level Bristle back, because they just got so much free damage off, and you didn't even get Quill Spray to try and return some of that. So there's no point in trying to go for the rune. Most likely there's going to be like 3 heroes here. It's better to get a good block off in the offlane, I would say. So just contesting the rune, not really that worth it. Even if you can manage to pick it up, I think getting a good block off can do essentially the same thing for you here. I think working on the block there, or working on your block in general to try and get a better block is really important. And you're the offlaner, right? Like, there's no reason that you've got to be up here. You just need to stand back here and soak up levels. Like, that's all you have to do as the offlaner. Like, that is 100% your job as the offlaner, is to just get levels right now. Like, you're getting zoned out so hard right now. This cask is not going to bounce back, fortunately enough, but it looks like you're probably going to go down here, and you should almost certainly go down. And that's an unnecessary first blood, just because you don't need to contest this creep wave. I mean, right now, you don't contest the creep wave. You're easily level 2. Now it's under your tower, and you can maybe quill to try and get some CS, but that's really all you need to do, right? Like, as the offlaner, if you see these offlaners that are like really zoned out, especially at this level, they're not really going to be that good at zoning you. Like, they took a lot of damage here. Their Witch Doctor's not pulling, stacking. I mean, you block the camp anyways. So you literally just need to stand behind the creep wave within EXP range, which is pretty large. It's about I want to say screen wide. I don't know. That's a stupid way to say it. You'll kind of learn, but just kind of stand, fire, and then, like, again, you're a little bit too close there, and this is why you're taking all this unnecessary damage here. Huskar's got some nice range. Witch Doctor has some nice damage. There's no reason that you need to be running up here to contest the CS. Like, absolutely no reason as the offlaner to contest the CS. Your job is to sit there, especially as a bristleback, right? Like, Bristle actually doesn't need all that much. He can get, some fairly good items just out of the passive gold gain, and with levels, he's really strong. He gets damage and move speed from his warpath, so you can still be very effective with, like, boots, Basilius, and, like, a Stout Shield. Like, you don't need that much farm to start being effective around the map, or to start being a pain to the enemy team here. So you can see it's been pushing in here. And despite the fact that you died, you're almost level 4. And you did miss out on about a creep wave full of EXP. So imagine if you didn't die, you would be about level 4, maybe level 4.5 here. And you've got some more regen. You've probably got the full Basilius done, because you should work on spending your money a little bit more as the offlaner, because you will lose a lot of it. And it's all unreliable gold. Unreliable gold you do lose a portion of when you die. So you want to be spending your money. Right now, if you've got a Basilius, you can spam out your Quill Spray to secure CS a little bit more. And you've also got more armor to, stay in lane a little bit longer as well. So you are going to pop that salve. And again, you've got a lot of gold. You're going to buy the boots here, which aren't going to help you all that much here. May help you about, like, with the harass range from the Huskar. But I think if you would have just gone the Basilius first, or even just the Ring of Protection into boots, just stuff to make you a little bit tankier, a little bit more annoying. Again, you're running up to this Huskar. You really don't need to do that. He's going to get free farm, but I mean, if you really watch any competitive Dota or even like high level pubs, chances are that the carry does get free farm anyways. Like, the carries tend to get free farm. It comes down to, I mean, your carry's getting the same. He's getting free farm as well here. Looks like there's some rotations from the Witch Doctor and the Darkseer, but they can't do anything. So as long as you're getting CS, or you're getting levels, like this Darkseer is level 3, whereas you're almost level 5. You could have been level 5, maybe even almost level 6, because it doesn't take that much experience, just 600. You could have been almost level 6. You're leagues ahead of what this Darkseer is getting. Like, sure, he's got 5 CS, but that's because he's using Ion Shell. So really, you need to recognize that as the offlaner, you don't need to run up here. You don't need to take a lot of damage and contest the CS. You just need to stay in EXP range. And I know you're probably like, oh, I don't know EXP range. And it's pretty simple, right? You just stand what you think is far enough that you won't get harassed. If you see your EXP going up, then that's good enough. Like, right there, you got EXP and you're pretty far away right now. You're pretty far away from that creep that just died right here. So you got EXP from that. You just kind of have to watch. If a creep dies and you don't get EXP, okay, maybe move up a little bit. And sometimes you'll find yourself at like level 3, like 8 minutes in, and that's just kind of the offlaner life, right? Like, that's just what you end up doing. You're not meant to get a lot in the offlane, but offlane heroes are heroes that don't need a lot. Like, right now, you're probably going to go down, you're going to get charged here, and this is unfortunate because as the offlaner, like, you're level 5, that Spirit Breaker just got quite a bit here. Like, we'll just go back to when he charges you. Spirit Breaker right now is about level 2 and almost level 3 here. So once he gets this kill, we'll see how much EXP he gets off of you. And it's quite a bit there. So he gets about half a level worth of EXP there. And that's pretty important. I guess we could get an exact number. He gets 182. They both get 182 EXP. But he also gets 294 gold. You lose about 194 gold yourself again. Because you have a lot of unreliable gold here. Whereas... just want to reset this again, back up another little bit here. You've got enough money to buy the Ring of Protection, I believe. Yeah, you do. So you could have had a Ring of Protection here. You didn't have to lose 149 gold after dying. And that death isn't as bad. It's a little bit more efficient, right? Because you don't lose that Ring of Protection gold. You should have bought the Ring of Protection. So the thing about the offlane is that there's a smaller room for error than there is in other lanes, I guess you could say, because a lot of your gold's unreliable. It's very important that you don't feed away important kills like this to the enemy team, because they will get you know, some nice level and gold advantages where they probably shouldn't. So you've already died twice where you probably shouldn't have here, and we can already see it's just because of your positioning that you know, you're playing it like it's a safe lane or something, right? So you really don't need to do that. Looks like you're going to go down here as well. Unfortunately, you don't have, you know, again, level 6 to level 7, not that much experience. If you would have stayed alive a little bit longer or a few more times, you maybe could have been level 7 there. And maybe you could have gotten the kill. Or if you had that Ring of Protection, you probably could have stayed alive long enough to get that kill. So again, these are minor things that could have eked out a kill for you there. And that's huge. If you get a kill in the offlane, that is massive. I'm not saying go for it. As Bristleback, you can really surprise the enemy and get kills where you're not supposed to be. But look at that. Your offlaner or your safe laner just got a double kill. They rotated like 3 heroes there. And if you had just been sitting pretty bottom, not really been dying, you know, maybe you don't get a lot of CS, but you've got your Ring of Protection, you've got your Basilius now as well, just from that passive gold. You're doing pretty well. You're having a good time here. You really just need to get like probably Treads, Basilius, and then you can go out on the map. You can try to gank. They've got some easily gankable heroes like the Witch Doctor, the Shadow Fiend, if you can get a setup on top of that. And looks like you're going to go down yet again to that damage over time. Unfortunately, if you would have had maybe a Basilius or maybe a Belt of Strength on top of that as well, it would have been good. So you have to be very careful. You don't have to go up and contest the creep wave. You've already seen as well that he's got kill potential on you, so you should be really careful here about going up and pressuring the creep wave. Like, really careful, because you can see, like, why are you this close to the creep wave? Look at the damage he does. Sure, you've got some heals from the Warlock here, but the Warlock shouldn't be here in general. That's already very bad for your game overall, for your team overall. And it looks like now you're rotating. You've got 4 points into the Quill Spray. I'm not sure how alright with that I am. Quill Spray does do a lot of damage, but the thing is that you need a lot of stacks to get that damage, right? And it's somewhat alright if they, you know, I think getting a little bit of negative armor here from your Viscous Goo is pretty good, but you really need an elongated fight to make the most out of Quill Spray. And because you don't have something like Tread's Vanguard or Tread's Ring of Protection or like Tread's Basilius, you're not that tanky. You don't have the mana pool to really sustain all these quills. So I think maybe 1 more point into Bristleback, or 1 point at least into the Nasal Goo to give a little bit of base move slow, and then you know, some negative armor as well is good, especially when you're against a Huskar. Physical damage is good, right? So you want to get that nasal goo to help propel your team's physical damage a little bit more. So just something to keep in mind there. You could have definitely had a little bit better itemization. Looks like you're not all too interested in going the Basilius. I think if you're unsure of when or when not to get items, you have to kind of think of it like this. So look at the item Basilius, right? I got to turn on free cam here. So let's take a look at Basilius. It's a recommended item, and I know not all the time recommended items are good, but look at it. What does Bristleback needs? He needs to tank up. He's got a shallow mana pool and low mana cost spells. So look at this. Basilius, pretty much exactly what you want. It gives you another 0.65 mana regen, which isn't all that much, but I mean, when your abilities are such low cost mana, it actually is quite a bit. And it also gives you 2 bonus armor, as well as a little bit of damage, which is good, right? Like, why not get some right click damage? You're Bristleback, you need some physical damage. So 6 damage, 1 armor, and 2 aura bonus armor. So you're getting 3 armor from that. So now you're at 7 armor. You've got some mana regen, you've got a little bit more damage, and it just overall suits your hero, right? You don't have to build it into a full Aquila. I don't think that's necessary whatsoever. But just the straight Basilius does actually give you a lot. You're definitely going to go down here, and this is a little bit of map awareness that, you know, everybody's kind of missing. There's a Spirit Breaker. They've got a lot of global potential, so you've got to be very careful of the charge, which they have killed you with before as well. So just something to keep in mind when they have global heroes, perhaps like an Ancient Apparition that can just Ice Blast you, and if you get jumped on, you might die. If they've got a Spirit Breaker, a Sunstrike, perhaps just global things. Maybe working on your map awareness could help, but again, you've died a lot here now, and this has been a really bad lane for you overall. You guys are getting super aggressive. You probably don't need to get this aggressive, and you're going to go down. You do get a lot across the map for that. You get 3 kills, which is nice, but the big thing is that you're really falling behind in terms of your itemization, and although your Spectre's, you know, doing pretty well here, we won't talk about that one. Although your Spectre's doing pretty well, you still need to offer something to your team other than just dying, right? So you guys need to, maybe as a team, work on your map awareness. I don't know if you guys are a stack. Maybe as a team, work on your map awareness, calling things out, stuff like that. As a Bristleback yourself, though, like, you shouldn't chase this guy. There's no way you're going to get this kill unless he's like, oh, well, the Lich, okay, so your whole team shows up, I guess. You probably didn't even need to be there to help get that kill anyways, though. It looks like you do have your treads, or are you trying to finish Vanguard first? Yeah, alright, so you definitely want to finish your treads. The attack speed's really good on Bristleback because, of course, he keeps gaining attack speed. He's a physical damage hero. He gets bonus damage per stack, and when you have some nice base attack speed on top of that, you've got a lot of DPS now. But just with the damage, it's not that great, right? If you know, you're doing 100 damage, but you're attacking really slow, it's not as good as if you're doing, you know, 70 damage, but you're attacking a lot faster, right? Especially because Vanguard doesn't give you all that much. The stack, you are going to get that, which is good. If you had your treads, you could have done that a lot safer there. That regen didn't offer you all that much. You do finish your treads, but you could have had them a little bit faster here. It looks like you are going to be going over to here to clear ancient stacks. That's great. But now this fight is kind of lost. And again, at this point, you're kind of sitting wait for your team, right? Like, you haven't offered that much. You've died 8 times. You've helped out in a few kills here and there. But if we take a look at their Darkseer, he's rotated on you. He's helped get a kill. He just helped win that team fight with the back wall. And you need to be getting a lot more out of your Bristleback there. The puck gets a nice ultimate. It looks like you're tanking a lot of damage. This is good. You actually do a lot in that team fight. And then you turn around for some reason and you just die. You give him a double kill. So you should have just gone home there. There was nothing you were going to do. Again, you guys have not a lot of vision or a lot of map awareness as to where they could be. So you do go down there. And is the Spectre building a Vanguard as well? It looks like, I think she is. No, oh yeah, she is. So the Spectre's building a Vanguard. I guess that's going to be alright. You guys kind of have 2 tanks, I guess, if she's going to be building a Vanguard. So, you know, that's not going to help you all that much. I think Mechanism Bristleback is certainly a good ability. Or certainly a good build here. It looks like you've already got it on your Lich, though. So I guess that'll do. Trying to fight, but again, like, you're actually really far behind item-wise, so you can't fight whatsoever. S and Y, I'm definitely okay with. I think that's a good build. As it looks like you're going to do some Ancients here again. There's a team fight. Didn't really do that much yet again, so it's kind of hard to say. A lot of it comes down to the early game and the laning stage so far. it's come down to the fact that you could probably be a level or two up here, be a little bit tankier. You could have been maybe another few items up. You could have had a Basilius, and then maybe you would have already had your Ogre Club and another Belt of Strength if you stay alive, because you realize, like, you lost a lot of gold this game simply from dying. And it's kind of easy for me as, you know, the guy helping you out to say, hey, just don't die. And I completely understand that. From my view, it's easier for me to just kind of tell you what to do and not really understand that you obviously have difficulties with it. But hopefully, you know, just me telling you things like buy your items, have a good understanding of what items you need, and play a little bit safer. And, you know, you'll find yourself in a much better predicament. You know, you'll have a little bit extra gold. I'm not saying, you know, don't die at all. I'm saying don't die 11 times. Die 8 times maybe, you know. A few times bot lane. If you play a little bit safer, maybe you save yourself from about 3 deaths. You have a couple less deaths. And look at this. You have probably another few hundred gold on top of this. You've got your Ogre Club, your Belt of Strength, you know, stuff like that. You probably didn't have to die here. I think recently I played with a lot of people that were better than me. And I learned a lot from that game, actually. I was playing with people that were like 5.6k and up. We played a party match, and you know, we did win the game. But I died quite a bit, and I learned a lot. And one of the big things I learned that I never really considered was high ground vision. And I found myself, you know, feeling safe when you're around, you know, there's a tower here, you feel safe going up here or up here, but you really shouldn't. And it sounds stupid, but I got caught out so many times in places that I thought were safe. But, you know, if my team's not around it, if my team's in the jungle over here, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm going to ward, I'm going to go stack the Ancient, something like that. I walk up here. You know, obviously I could work on my map awareness as well. I'm not expecting somebody this close to my tower, but I do die. And realistically, it's not like, I'm just going to pause it because I'm probably missing a lot. Realistically, it's not like it would have taken me any longer to, you know, just walk around and, you know, come around up top and go around someplace that's a lot safer. Like up here's a lot safer than it is going over here because your creep waves walking past here. They're probably not going to hide around here. But realistically, if I would have just, you know, come up this ramp once or twice and come over here, I probably could have seen them hiding out around here. Or maybe if I work on my warding. Basically, what I'm trying to say is be very careful with when you go up to high ground, because you can easily find yourself getting caught out no matter how safe it feels. If it's going to take you a few extra seconds to walk around to someplace that's a little bit safer, I'd say for sure do so. Like, you know, if you're going to walk up here, maybe take the extra 30 seconds, walk around up here where it's safer. Especially if you've got a ward up here. You know, you didn't die here, but I found myself in that game. We had a ward here, and there was like a Lena just standing at the top of the steps, and I was going to ward up around, you know, here somewhere because they were whatever. And I didn't even see her. She just Dragon Slave, Light Strike Array, Lagooned me, and I was dead. And, you know, that was an easy kill for her, and, you know, whatever. Just things like this you have to be aware of, not dying a lot. You have to kind of consciously think, you know, where could they be? Where shouldn't I be? Should I just take the long way around to be a little bit safer? You get the Basilius now. It's a little bit late, but you do get it. But you could have died a lot less this game just by simply being aware of your positioning. How much kill potential do they have? In this case, in the bot lane, they had a lot of kill potential and a lot of harass potential. If you would have just stood around this area while the creep waves, you know, like somewhere around here, you still get your EXP. You don't need to CS, right? Like, you get a lot of net gold gain just by standing around. Like, this goes up faster than a lot of people realize. It only takes a couple of minutes to get, you know, a few hundred gold, and at that point, you know, you can buy a ring of protection, be a little bit safer in the lane. You know, maybe the supports leave to roam around, and you can contest a little bit, use, you know, you've got Quill Spray to try and secure some CS, stuff like that. So I think a lot of this game came down to the early game and your lane positioning and getting caught out, stuff like that. You know, going back in after you were really low, not expecting the Huskar to be where he was. Looks like you guys are going to catch them out in the Roshan pit, but there's a DD Shadow Fiend, and you guys don't really know what you want to do this fight. And that's pretty much it, right? Like, this is kind of a team thing, but I'll go over it anyways. So it looks like you guys just get scared. If we take a look at this fight, there's like 4 heroes around the pit. You see the double damage Shadow Fiend, and you guys are like, oh my god, what the heck is happening? And you all run. If you guys just honestly beeline it, like straight over here, you help your Puck. You've got a Lich ulti, a Puck ulti, a Warlock ulti on 4 heroes. You pretty much win that. Like, hands down, not pretty much win that. Like, you do win that. This guy just gets eaten alive. Not sure why he's channeling his slow. Doesn't have his ultimate, I guess, but He probably should have just been walking around waiting to cast his ultimate. But I mean, this fight's pretty much over. You guys are all going to die. You kind of just try to chase that Shadow Fiend. You give them Roshan, and I'm pretty sure you said you won this game, which is actually mind-boggling, but that's whatever. Spectre's getting farm, I guess. She's getting stronger and stronger. She dies, but you guys get 3 for it so far, 4 for it, and that's a pretty nice trade. You're back up. Again, you're jumping in between a bunch of items. You kind of have half of Vanguard, half of Vlad's now you're working on, and it's really important that you finish up at least one of these items here. But I get it's difficult. You know, you start working on something and then you say, oh no, it seems like we need this. Maybe I'll get this, whatever. Again, you get caught out. They've got a lot of global potential. Remember that. Your warding is alright. It's around the mid lane, but you know, you should have something probably bot lane as well. And it looks like, yeah, I think there's not really much more to say about this late game at this point. I think a lot of Dota, in my opinion, especially at lower levels, a lot comes down to the laning stage. I think the laning stage is probably the most important part of Dota in pubs. Not necessarily in competitive games, because sometimes they draft, you know, losing laning stages, and then with the, you know, team fight coordination, communication they can come back from, you know, perhaps losing out on the laning stage. In pubs, I find there's a lack of coordination, communication, and understanding of general movements, you know, getting objectives, stuff like that. So it's important to win out on your laning stage. Not super important because it's very easy for people to throw in pubs as well, which seems like it's happening in this game. It's probably faster for you to just use your nasal goo there to stack that. And again, you get caught out bot lane. You died there earlier on, so you probably should have thought, like, you know, maybe they've got a ward. We've got no ward coverage. Maybe I should farm my jungle instead of the ancients there. It looks like you guys are coming back anyways, but yeah. So I think working on your laning stage, you're going to see a huge improvement there. Especially if you're playing carry, but you do play offlane a lot. So working on your offlane laning stage as well. I think the offlane honestly is one of the toughest lanes to kind of understand, I think. And I even have a really hard time understanding it. I don't really play offlane. Is probably the lane I play the least. And there are times where dying is appropriate and where it's okay. You know, you buy your team a lot of time. Maybe the fact that you died or got ganked means that there's a lot of space in your other lanes. It means that the, you know, supports perhaps aren't rotating towards some of the weaker mid laners. Like, you know, maybe you have a weak mid lane that's easily gankable, but if the supports are really focusing on trying to kill you, sometimes it's alright. Same with your safe lane. Maybe if they're not pressuring out your safe lane, it's alright. But still, you don't want to die that often, and realistically, a few less deaths this game could have been, you know, a full Vanguard on top of a Sage now, and just the little items that you could have had could have kept you alive a little bit longer, things like that. And I know I'm kind of beating this to death, but at this point, like, there's not a lot that you can do as the offlaner. You know, I can't just say, oh, now you should have smoked up and found a solo kill, because as a bristleback, you're not really that hero, and as an offlaner, you're often not. Perhaps if you're playing something like Beastmaster, I can say, you know, maybe use your Hawk to scout around the map and you know, work on your micro with your Hawk and try to find the enemy team. As the bristleback, though, you kind of want to be sticking with your team and fighting and tanking up a lot of damage and stuff like that. It's a little bit more, so maybe I'll go over a team fight and how you should be going over. So the first thing is that whether or not you call for it or your Lich recognizes it, you should probably be one of the main ice armor targets. Aside from maybe the Spectre, you really need ice armor. If it can tank you up, if it can mean that, you know, if they're attacking you, they're going to, you know, be spending a lot more damage and losing a lot of attack speed, that's really important. So you probably should be calling for your ice armor. You're going to eat a vac wall there, and it looks like you're still kind of trying to tank up as much as you can here, and you will do so. There's a nice haunt there, kind of rotating around. And as a bristleback, unless you're focusing on one hero in a team fight, which you probably aren't unless you're cleaning it up, the most important thing is getting off your Quill Spray. Mainly because it's your only AoE ability, but also because the more stacks, the more damage you do. You probably should have just left that Huskar. He was most likely going to die to the 4 golems anyways. You should have probably looked to help maybe your Spectre or something like that. But you're dead anyways, so there's not really much else I can talk about. But you want to try and stay alive. It's difficult because I think Bristleback has kind of like a razor that he has to kind of walk across of tanking damage but also staying alive. And I think Bristleback's a lot about kiting the enemy. So if you have the ice armor, you're really good at that. I know not every game you'll have an ice armor on your Bristleback, but I think it... excuse me, it certainly would have helped there, but kiting the enemy and trying to get as many quill spray stacks on the enemy heroes as you can. Sometimes it's great to get some more nasal goo on them to give them a little bit more physical damage, but I think quill spray is probably one of the things you generally want to really be staying alive for. Showing them your back in fights and getting a lot more quill sprays out, stuff like that. Looks like bot lane, the Huskar's going to go down again. They're really throwing themselves at this. They should really be waiting for another Aegis, farming up probably another item or two on the Shadow Fiend who went Silver Edge. MKB. Definitely needs the MKB. Silver Edge, not that great. Does need a Satanic. They should probably wait for that. Plus an Aegis and then kill you guys. But looks like they're getting way too excited to try and end the game. And they do have a lot of late game potential. And especially because you're so far behind, they've got a lot more late game potential, I would say. And it looks like, here we go, they're just going to lose again. People are just like going in one by one. And I mean, this is pretty much the game. It seems like they've given you way too much. I can look at the graphs and looks like it's starting to come back. So, I mean, you guys were never that far behind. Realistically, if we look at that, you were only like 5k net worth behind. And a lot of that was you, right? Because you were a lot further behind than you should have been. So, imagine if you wouldn't have died early on, you would have had another 1,000 net worth. This game would have been a lot closer. And you guys would have had a much easier time. So, probably all you have to do is work on your laning. Be a little bit more careful with, you know, the kill potential they have. Watch your map awareness. Probably stay a little bit just in EXP range. Again, you don't need to contest for last hits unless you're doing in like a 1v1 you know, lane up against a solo safe laner. Maybe you can be a little bit more careful with that one, but I think as like a tri lane versus yourself in an off lane, just securing EXP is enough. And honestly, as you get better, you'll find that even securing EXP is a chore, and honestly it should be. So don't be discouraged as you get better, as supports get better, if they're just pushing you out of the lane and you're not getting a lot, because it does happen. It is common that you will get just completely harassed out of lane, especially when you're drafting around this level. People don't really pick favorable off laners. They just kind of think, oh, you know, this guy's a good hero now, maybe, whereas maybe he's not really the best. But I'm not trying to, you know, say your drafter's garbage or that Bristle wasn't a good hero this game, because I think he's a pretty good pick. But realistically, it's all about staying in EXP range, getting EXP, staying alive, and then from there, working towards a few smaller items, perhaps fighting with your team, and then getting into those big ticket items later on, which is essentially what happened this game. It took about an hour, but you did manage to get there. You managed to get to AC and 3k gold, whatever, yada yada. But had you been maybe a little bit further ahead, you probably could have been an S and Y up now, plus maybe another little bit. So just something to keep in mind. You guys do win, so good on you, and you know, stick together as a team. You guys are only going to get better from now on, and I'm sure once you get, you know, these few offlane tips, you'll become a better player yourself. But itemization was all right at the very beginning. Could have been a little bit better later on, and hopefully, you know, you got a little bit out of this replay. So thanks again for sending this replay, and I know we had a little bit of trouble, but hopefully yourself as well as some other players got a lot out of this replay. And I had a lot of fun doing this analysis. It's been a little bit. Hopefully I'm going to get back into it after my learning series. But please, for everybody watching this, do check out some of my other videos. I've got a lot more coming down the line, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. So thanks again for watching, and look forward to my other stuff. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have my series From Lane to Lane, where I just cast some everyday pubs that you guys send me. I also do some more professional pubs, like games from Koikva, Miracle, whoever I can get my hands on from Dodobuff. I have a learning series as well, so feel free to check that out. There's some more info in the description, as well as some videos linked in the annotations at the end here. Thanks a lot.